If you thought Scott Morrison's catastrophic mishandling of the revelations around the alleged rape of Brittany Higgins was a one-off error, well, we have news for you. Here's an incomplete timeline of when Scott Morrison either sold women out, trivialised them, or refused to see them as autonomous human beings deserving of respect since he became Prime Minister in 2018. Starting in August 2018 with the political assassination of Malcolm Turnbull, which Morrison insists he had nothing to do with, despite somehow coming out on top. After the coup, reports emerged of extensive gendered bullying by those running numbers for the various candidates. South Australian Senator Lucy Geshu-Hare was one of the women bullied and tells the media that if nothing is done about the harassment, she will name names as to who was responsible. Meanwhile, Victorian MP Julia Banks announces that she won't be standing at the next election, choosing to quit politics over the bullying she endured. Newly anointed Prime Minister Scott Morrison promises that concerns about bullying will be addressed and appoints Minister for Industrial Relations and Women, Kelly O'Dwyer, to investigate. Geshu-Hare will subsequently be rewarded for her brave stand by being given the unwinnable fourth position on the South Australian Senate ballot at the 2019 election, ending her political career. November 2018, Julia Banks quits the Liberals and moves to the crossbench, saying the scourge of cultural and gender bias, bullying and intimidation continues against women in politics, the media and across business. Still in November, former Baywatch star Pamela Anderson publicly blasts Scott Morrison over smutty comments when she wrote to him to ask for help for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. When asked about it on commercial radio, Mr. Morrison said, "I've had plenty of mates who've asked me if they can be my special envoy to sort the issue out with Pamela Anderson, succeeding in not only infantilising, sexualising and trivialising Ms Anderson, but also the cause she was representing, which may have severe ramifications for journalism as a profession globally if Assange is convicted." January 2019, in news that surprises absolutely no one, Kelly O'Dwyer reports that MPs were subject to threats and intimidation and bullying. There are reports that she was on the receiving end of this, along with fellow Liberals Geshu-Hare, Banks, Julie Bishop, Linda Reynolds and Sarah Henderson. While several names are mentioned in the media, including Michael Sukkar, James Patterson and Craig Kelly, no one is held to account. Shortly after this, O'Dwyer announces that she's quitting politics. She had suffered a heartbreaking miscarriage while in Parliament. March 2019. At a Perth International Women's Day event, Scott Morrison explains to the audience, "We want to see women rise. But we don't want to see women rise only on the basis of others doing worse." So women are welcome to rise, but not in the same way as the middle-aged white men who have dominated business, politics and all other walks of life on merit for centuries. July 2019. Two young female Liberal staffers go public about being sexually assaulted by senior colleagues. Scott Morrison announces that the investigation into these allegations would result in a formal, mandatory code of conduct. The eventual code is voluntary. February 2020. Bridget McKenzie resigns as Sports Minister in order to protect Scott Morrison from being held to account for the $100 million sports rort scandal that was traced back to his office. Don't get me wrong, McKenzie was up to her eyeballs in sports rorts and deserved to be held to account. But so did Scott Morrison. It's telling that a woman was forced to take the fall for him. June 2020, when asked why Yass Hospital has not been upgraded with an urgently needed obstetric unit, Scott Morrison declares that the $150 million upgrade of the Barton Highway is actually all about women's health, since giving birth on the side of the road will be more comfortable or something. We did a video about this if you want to go back through our archives. October 2020, Australia Post CEO Christine Holgate comes under fire for spending $20,000 on Cartier watches, as bonuses for her executive staff landing an important banking contract for Australia Post outlets that will secure their financial futures. Scott Morrison shouts in Parliament that Ms Holgate has been instructed to stand aside. If she doesn't wish to do that, she can go. November 2020, Christine Holgate resigns from Australia Post. Meanwhile, the Mail-run NBN Co paid out $77.5 million in bonuses between July and December 2020, which led the Senate to pass a motion slamming NBN Co and saying the bonuses were excessive, unreasonable and lacking in justification. Scott Morrison says nothing about this and no one resigns from NBN Co as a result. November 2020 continued. ABC's Four Corners airs a jaw-dropping report on a toxic, sexist and unsafe work environment in Parliament House after Minister for Communications Paul Fletcher fails to have the show cancelled. Fletcher had clearly not heard about the Streisand effect, since this guaranteed most of the country would watch it. And it's still on iView if you missed it. In the episode, then-married Alan Tudge is revealed to have had an affair with a media advisor who was managed out of her role after the affair ended, and will go on to lose her private sector job as a result of the broadcast. Attorney General Christian Porter is revealed as an apparent career misogynist, which left a lot of the audience wondering what aspects of his story didn't make it past the ABC's defamation lawyers. Morrison declines to act on the revelations, claiming that there had been no breaches of the Ministerial Code of Conduct. When Anne Ruston, the Minister for Families and Social Services, is asked about the culture toward women in the Liberal Party, Scott Morrison interrupts her answer to scold the reporter over their use of the term bonk ban. January 2021, the investigation into Christine Holgate's actions clears her of any actual corruption or fraud, stating only that buying the watches did not meet public expectations. That would be the public expectations set by the Prime Minister losing his shit in Parliament. Pauline Hanson, of all people, goes on the warpath, securing a Senate inquiry into the treatment of Christine Holgate, stating, "You don't get to falsely and savagely trash the career of one of Australia's most successful business leaders for no reason and then get away with it." Australia Post franchise operators are still fighting to have Holgate reinstated, firm in their belief she was the best leader Australia Post had had in decades. February 2021. Brittany Higgins' alleged rape and the subsequent apparent cover-up of the crime is broken by news.com.au's Samantha Maiden, and then followed up by Lisa Wilkinson on The Project. Morrison triggers a collective facepalm across the country by essentially admitting that he needed his wife Jenny to explain to him that rape was bad. And it only got worse as the story unfolded, as we documented in another video. Morrison appoints WA backbencher and noted anti-feminist Celia Hammond to head up one of the now 4 investigations he's called into this matter, calling on someone who is on record as disapproving of single women having sex to investigate a violent sexual crime against a young, unmarried woman is certainly a bold strategy. February 2021 continued. Morrison continues to be asked about what he knew and when he knew it in regard to Higgins' alleged assault, and in his desperate efforts to ensure no blame is attached to him, manages to get called out by Ms Higgins for using victim-blaming language, gaslighting her, and backgrounding journalists about her loved ones. In the meantime, 3 other possible victims of Higgins' perpetrator have come forward, revealing that the government's appalling handling of Ms Higgins' initial complaint in 2019 may have resulted in another woman being assaulted because the perpetrator was left free to offend again. Defence Minister Linda Reynolds is firming as the minister that Morrison will throw under the bus in order to avoid being held accountable for his government's handling of Brittany Higgins' trauma. Like Bridget McKenzie with sports frauds, Reynolds deserves to be held to account for her role in this unfolding disaster. But also like Bridget McKenzie, she will likely be forced to resign in order to ensure that Morrison doesn't have to. Still in February 2021, Four Corners breaks a story that a man who is now a cabinet minister sexually assaulted a woman in 1988 when she was only 16. It is revealed that Senators Penny Wong and Sarah Hanson-Young and Prime Minister Scott Morrison have received letters in regard to this crime, including a statement and other records from the victim, who, tragically, is now deceased. Over a weekend where every male cabinet minister over the age of 45 is now under suspicion as a rapist in their pre-parliament lives, Morrison goes to the beach rather than address this new scandal. March 2021, Morrison reveals that he did not read the letter and the evidence sent to him about the 1988 rape case, and was briefed on it instead. He deflects questions about the case by insisting that it's a police matter, despite the fact that the AFP have made it clear they cannot investigate rape allegations, and the New South Wales Police have not opened an investigation because the victim has died. Morrison releases the crucial Royal Commission into Aged Care report to an unprepared media as a deflection strategy, and when questioned says he'd spoken to the individual who vehemently rejects these allegations, and then advised that there are no matters that require my immediate attention. Attorney General Christian Porter has outed himself as the accused minister and denies the alleged events. He refuses to stand down as Attorney General, arguing that his career and reputation should not be destroyed on the basis of an allegation that cannot now be proved. At the time of publishing, Scott Morrison has declined to open an independent inquiry into this matter. Protest marches under the banner of #MarchForJustice will be held at Parliament House in Canberra and all capital cities on March 15, 2021. Search for #MarchForJustice for updates on a march in your area. Or like or follow the Reclaim the News Facebook page for updates.